The Ashes of Betrayal. Chapter 1. Das Erwischen, Part 5/5. The wind howled through the trees like a chorus of lost souls. Lina woke with a gasp, her numb fingers clutching the family medallion pulsing against her chest. What she felt wasn't the comforting warmth of lunar magic, but that feverish burn that now always came before the visions. Beside her, Freya dozed, her hunting knife still gripped tightly even in sleep, her knuckles white from the pressure. The dream had been more vivid than ever. Her father, Alaric Nordenlicht, collapsing with Adriano's black dagger buried to the hilt in his chest. Those gray eyes, always so full of peaceful wisdom, now glassy with betrayal. Her mother Ilara, transformed into a pillar of blue flames, devouring everything in their path. And that new detail her mind insisted on adding, the sickly sweet smell of plum jam the cook had made that morning, mixing grotesquely with the acrid stench of burning hair. Again? Freya had cracked open one green eye, her pupil dilated like an alert feline's. Her freckles looked like bloodstains in the ghostly dawn light. If you keep waking up like this, I'll make you drink poppy tea until you sleep like the dead. Lina didn't answer right away. When she closed her eyes, she still saw the boy curled on the ground in her vision. His mouth open in a silent scream, his smoke-tinted glasses fogged with cold sweat. Two thin trails of dried blood ran from his nose to his chin. "He's seeing too," Lina whispered, her nails digging into her palms. She dreamed of another who dreamed. But her visions were never simple premonitions. They were violent invasions, as if something from the other side demanded to be seen. Freya shuddered. "I'd rather not know what makes a seer bleed in their sleep." She rubbed her arms where goosebumps had risen. "Last night I dreamed I was scratching a door from the inside. When I woke up, I had splinters under my nails." She held up her fingers where dark wood fragments still clung. They left the cave and continued toward Nebular. The path beyond Raven's Pass was quieter than expected. The forest thinned, letting them move faster, though not easier. They hunted, gathered herbs, and sought shelter each night. Silber and Brandfuchs, once pampered ponies of House Sternenlicht, now showed the wear of the journey as much as their riders. 2 months of flight had changed them all, from 2 plump ponies and 2 scrawny girls to 4 survivors marked by desperation. "The good news is there's a river that leads to Nebular in 10 days, Freya said as she returned with firewood. "Only those hiding something use these paths. I saw men fleeing uphill, our smoke scared them." "Maybe they thought we were mercenaries," Lina suggested. Tension was their new normal. Though they hadn't found pursuers, they remembered Goran's words, "If you want to hide, wear bells in your pockets." That's why they traveled by day and made visible campfires. "No one questions why 2 girls ride alone," Freya reasoned. The logic was simple. In these lands, priestesses cursed those who harmed travelers. The evening storm had turned the creek into a raging torrent. The once clear ankle-deep water now roared violently, dragging branches and stones in its muddy current. Rain fell in icy sheets, plastering their clothes to their bodies and reducing visibility to a few meters. It was in that chaos that Lina spotted the 3 hooded figures on the opposite bank. They were trying to cross using a rope tied between 2 trees, but the water battered them violently, white foam churning around their thighs. "Freya, look!" Lina shouted over the water's roar, pointing. The tallest of the 3 reached the middle, gripping the rope tightly. The other 2, smaller, likely teens, struggled forward, slipping on moss-covered stones. Then it happened. The thinnest one lost his footing. The current dragged him like dead weight, his black cloak flapping like a wounded raven's wings. Screams mixed with the water's roar. "No!" Lina didn't think twice. She mounted Silber and charged into the river, Freya and Brandfuchs close behind. The icy water stole her breath. Silber fought the current, her hooves slipping on the slick riverbed. Lina, one hand on the reins and the other outstretched, grabbed the boy's hood just as his head disappeared underwater. "Pull!" Freya, already on the opposite bank, yanked the makeshift rope they'd tied from the horse's reins. The rescue was brutal. The boy, half-conscious, coughed up water as the current kept battering him. For a moment, Lina felt him slipping, her numb fingers barely holding on, but then Silber, as if understanding, leaped back and bit his cloak, dragging him with animal strength. They finally hauled him onto dry land, where he collapsed, vomiting water and shivering violently. The 5 of them reached what looked like a mound, a stone structure covered in grass and lichen. The sanctuary. Inside, the figures shed their soaked cloaks. A broad-shouldered young man helped a short-haired girl tend to the unconscious boy on a stone slab. The place smelled of dampness and rotting plants. The walls, once carved with runes and stories of the lunar priestesses, were defaced with Adriano's new emblem, a dagger piercing a crescent moon. "He'll be fine," the girl said, placing flat stones on his forehead and chest. "He's been worse." Exhausted, Lina gripped her sheathed sword. "Why are you here? Why cross in such a hurry? Don't tell me your names, the less we know." The tall boy laughed and the girl stifled a giggle. "This isn't a game," Lina snapped, her voice frayed. "Lisa Sternenlicht and Frida Wokenherz," the girl said. "Enemies of Adriano Vescari heading to Nebular. Lisa dreams every night of Emil having visions." She gestured to herself. "I'm Rina, he's Kaspar. We laugh because Emil talks about you. It's like we already know you." "It's Freya, not Frida," Freya corrected. "What do you want from us?" A snort made them turn. Kaspar stood at the entrance, pulling milky white roots from his bag. "Mercenaries are camped in the ruins of Nyx's temple," he announced. "But they're not what worries me." He tossed the roots, which writhed before going still. "The forest is infested." Freya cursed, tracing a crescent moon over her chest. "What dark arts is Adriano using against us?" Rina spoke up, her uneven black hair framing a sharp face. Her tattooed arm held a stained knife. "Your hunters smell rotten magic. And you?" Her eyes locked onto Lina's medallion. "You reek of tragedy and power." Kaspar showed his burned scars. "Until a month ago, I worked in Nordenlicht's forges. Adriano's men burned my workshop with my brothers inside." A cold green flame danced over his knuckles. Inside the sanctuary, the rescued boy, Emil, sat up weakly. His smoke-tinted glasses hung crookedly on his thin nose, and a dry cough shook his chest. "I was a scribe in Valdera's temple," he whispered, his voice like broken bones. "Until I dreamed of Alaric's fall." He paused, swallowing as if the words burned. With trembling hands he opened his tunic to reveal whip marks on his chest and neck. "The war god's nobles tied me to a post in the temple courtyard. They said if I was a true seer, I should predict every lash." A bitter laugh. "I failed more than I succeeded." He coughed and a trickle of blood ran down his chin. Rina wordlessly handed him a dirty cloth. "When I couldn't even scream, they threw me into a pit with others who fell during Prince Vescari's first days. That's when I saw her." He pointed to Rina. "Or something made me see her." Rina nodded, eyes distant. "A boy led me to him. Appeared out of nowhere like a ghost and dragged me to that pile of corpses." She shuddered. "I couldn't refuse. It was like my body wasn't mine anymore. She pulled me out," Emil continued. "And since then I dream of you two every night." He looked at Lina and Freya. "And Adriano. Always Adriano hunting you." "We met Kaspar days ago," Rina added. The tall boy hugged them. "And guess who led me to them?" "Exactly, a barefoot boy who didn't speak." Emil cut in. "Our destiny isn't ours anymore. Lina, Freya, we're your army. A master of green flames, a wild girl with oak bark tattoos, and a seer who brings bad luck." But Freya wasn't listening. At the sanctuary's far end, the stones rearranged themselves into a hearth. A woman's voice announced, "My gift, one night without cold." Their clothes felt lighter, cleaner, exhaustion dulled. Like children, they accepted the fire's warmth, a place to sleep and new allies. No more questions, they surrendered to sleep. That night, 5 outcasts slept on the sanctuary floor, torn violently from their old lives, trying to carve their story into time's stone, much like the runes on the walls, scarred but not erased. The next morning, sharing watery soup, they took turns recounting how Adriano had spread his influence since that night. In Nordenlicht, he dissolved the matriarchy and imprisoned rebel Herb Heron. In Valdera, he bribed the merchant council with trade promises. His witch hunters burned farms where the old goddess was worshipped. "He doesn't just want power," Emil muttered. "He wants to erase those who remember how things were." A thunderous crash shook the sanctuary. Outside, Adriano's hounds howled. Rina stood, sharpening her knife. "Two choices, die apart or unite what's left." "And what's left?" Lina asked. Kaspar ignited a green flame, illuminating protection runes. "Rage. And tricks his lackeys won't expect." Freya handed out their few weapons. "If we die," she said, tossing Lina a chipped dagger, "let Adriano remember it." In the rain, with footsteps closing in, the 5 sealed their pact, not with words, but with the silence of those with nothing left to lose. Thank you for listening. Till the next week. Bye.